Peugeot Automobile error codes. If you're looking for help fixing your Peugeot Automobile, look no further. Our comprehensive Peugeot Automobile error code guide will explain common issues, provide tips, and show you how to read your model's error codes. Code P1100. MAF mass airflow sensor intermittent. Systems check not complete. Code P1101. MAF mass airflow sensor out of self-test range. Code P1102. MAF mass airflow sensor in range but lower than expected. Code P1103. MAF mass airflow sensor in range but higher than expected. Code P1104. MAF mass airflow ground malfunction. Code P1105. Dual alternator upper fault. Code P1106. Dual alternator lower fault. MAP manifold absolute pressure sensor circuit intermittent high voltage. Code P1107. Dual alternator lower circuit malfunction. MAP manifold absolute pressure sensor circuit intermittent low voltage EDC15C2 swirl solenoid valve. Code P1108. Dual alternator battery lamp circuit malfunction. Barometric to MAP manifold absolute pressure sensor comparison too high. Code P1109. Intake air temperature IATB sensor intermittent. Code P1110. Intake air temperature IAT sensor DC open. Short. Code P1111. Intake air temperature IAT sensor circuit intermittent high voltage. Code P1112. Intake air temperature IAT sensor circuit intermittent low voltage. Code P1113. Intake air temperature IAT sensor circuit open. Short. Code P1114. Engine coolant temperature ECT sensor circuit intermittent low voltage. IAT. B sensor circuit low input. Code P1115. Engine coolant temperature ECT sensor circuit intermittent high voltage. IAT. B sensor circuit high input. Code P1116. Engine coolant temperature ECT sensor out of range. Code P1117. Engine coolant temperature ECT sensor circuit intermittent. Code P1118. Manifold absolute temperature sensor circuit low input. Code P1119. Manifold absolute temperature sensor circuit high input. Code P1120. Throttle position sensor TPS out of range. Code P1121. Throttle position sensor TPS circuit intermittent high voltage. Code P1122. Throttle position sensor TPS circuit intermittent low voltage. Code P1123. Throttle position sensor TPS in range but higher than expected. Code P1124. Throttle position sensor TPS out of self-test range. Code P1125. Throttle position sensor TPS circuit intermittent. Code P1126. Throttle position sensor TPS circuit narrow range malfunction. Code P1127. Exhaust not warm downstream oxygen sensor. Code P1128. Upstream heated oxygen sensor HO2S swapped. Code P1129. Downstream heated oxygen sensor HO2S swapped. Code P1130. Lack of HO2S switching. Adaptive fuel at limit. Code P1131. Lack of HO2S switching. Sensor indicates lean. Code P1132. Lack of HO2S switching. Sensor indicated rich. Code P1133. HO2S1 insufficient switching. Code P1134. HO2S1 transition time ratio. Code P1135. Pedal position sensor circuit are intermittent. Code P1136. Fan control circuit malfunction. Code P1137. Lack of HO2S2 switching. Sensor indicates lean. Code P1138. High pressure rail sensor fault. Lack of HO2S2 switching. Sensor indicates rich operation. Code P1139. Water in fuel indicator circuit malfunction. Code P1140. Water in fuel condition. Code P1141. Fuel restriction indicator circuit malfunction. Code P1142. Fuel restriction condition. Code P1143. Air assist control valve range. Performance. Code P1144. Air assist control valve circuit malfunction. Code P1145. Lucas DCN2. Noise on the needle lift sensor. Incoherence. Code P1150. Lack of HO2S21 switching. Adaptive fuel at limit. Code P1151. Lack of HO2S21 switching. Sensor indicates lean. Code P1152. Lack of HO2S21 switching. Sensor indicated rich. Code P1153. Bank 2 fuel control shifted lean. MM6LP. Throttle stop learning. Malfunction. Code P1154. Bank 2 fuel control shifted rich. Code P1155. Alternative fuel controller. Code P1156. Fuel select switch malfunction. Code P1157. Lack of HO2S22 switching. Sensor indicates lean. Code P1158. Lack of HO2S22 switching. Sensor indicates rich. Code P1159. Fuel stepper motor malfunction. Code P1164. Fuel pressure sensor test. Code P1165. SID 803. Fuel pressure signal. Pressure change coherence. Code P1167. Invalid test throttle not pressed AL4. Fault in pressure regulation. Variation. Recommendation. Code P1168. Fuel rail sensor in range low failure. Code P1169. Fuel rail sensor in range high failure. EDC15C2 condenser 1 voltage. Code P1170. Engine shutoff ESO solenoid fault. EDC15C2 condenser 2 voltage. Code P1171. Rotor sensor fault. EDC15C2 engine stop test by injector cut off. Code P1172. Rotor control fault.